What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. I'm actually recording this on Monday at 10 a.m. I figured I should probably timestamp these when I actually record them in case something big happens in the news or something. And then people are like, oh, why didn't you fucking touch on that? But yeah, it's Monday when I'm recording this. Comes out on Tuesday as per usual. So thank you for listening. I figured I'd kick off the episode like I have been lately with something awkward as fuck that's just happened. And of course it always happens to me. I don't know if this happens to you guys as much as it happens to me, or whether I just take make a conscious effort of recording it so that I can either tell you guys about it or turn it into a bit for stage. But again, this moment happened at the gym, literally probably half an hour ago, I guess. I just got back from the gym, so I'm all sweaty. I'm just going to get sweatier in this studio because, again, I can't afford air conditioning. So that's all good. But I got to the gym and I've put my bag down. I've gone to the toilets to have a quick piss before I start smashing weights like a beast, right? And as I've walked into the toilet, I don't know, to get to the toilet, you got to walk past like the change room area, like most gyms, I guess. And as I walked in, there's like I don't even know what you'd call it. Like in a girl's change room, I guess you'd call it a beauty station, but feels wrong to call it that in a boy's change room. But anyway, there's like a little bench with hairdryers and shit. And I don't know if you guys see some people every now and then and you're just like, that's a disgusting human being. And some people might look at me and think that, and that's completely fine. Everyone's got their little kinks. Hopefully I'm somebody's kink. But yeah, I walk in the change rooms and I see this disgusting man with the hairdryer, and I can only jump to the assumption that he has gone to the gym without a towel to dry himself after he's had a shower after gym. So now he's resorted to using the change room hairdryer to dry himself, right? So he's literally standing in front of this mirror, hairdryer in hand, dripping in fucking water. I hope it was water and not sweat. It was probably a mixture, to be honest, which now that I'm saying that out loud is fucking disgusting. But anyway, I've gone to walk like behind him to get to the toilets, and he didn't have the hairdryer on at this stage. And in my head, my whole approach to him, I'm like, you better not fucking start this hairdryer as I walk behind you and just spray me with sweat and water, because that would be fucking gross. And sure enough, as I've slowly crept behind the guy, this disgusting human being cranks the hairdryer to the top speed, and what I hope is water and definitely not sweat now that I'm saying it out loud. A large portion of that water sprayed me as I walked past, and yeah, to the point I had to go to the cubicle and get bits of toilet paper and dab my arms and shit, and thank fuck none of it hit my face. But yeah, that's been my morning. Hopefully that's worse than most of the mornings you guys are having at the moment. I just wanted to, at the top of the episode as well, say thank you, I guess, to the like, what would you call it? The reaction or the support and all that shit that I got for last week's episode. So, yeah, just a little bit of inside baseball. That episode in a long time was probably the funnest and easiest to record. And I think it was because I knew where I wanted to go with it. There was literally no pressure of meeting timeframes or having people here and shit like that. But yeah, literally the amount of messages and shit that I got from some of you guys, but like a lot of people in the comedy scene, some sort of, distant friends and things like that I haven't really spoken to for a while, even reached out and said that they love the new format. Got little compliments, like it felt like it went way quicker than usual, that's good, I guess. I don't want this to be a podcast that's sort of like, oh fuck, when's he gonna finish? When's the hour up, sort of thing. So yeah, and on that as well, some of these podcasts are going to go for an hour. Some of them might go for half an hour, depending on if I've got anything to talk about or if anything's happened. But yeah, aiming for about that hour every week, which I think's pretty normal in the podcast world. That's most of the ones that I listen to are around that hour. But there was one thing last week that I wasn't entirely 100% sold on doing it, I guess, on the air. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And that was my little rant at the start, somewhat shitting on the industry, if that's what you want to call it. Somewhat, I would like to just call it telling my truth, I guess. And yeah, that I've had a large number of people as well message me saying that they loved my little ranting style, which I'm definitely no Bill Burr or anything like that. But if you guys do want to hear me rant, then let me know. But I just don't want to be that guy that comes on here and he's just super negative every fucking week. But yeah, appreciate all the feedback. Appreciate everyone that shared the episode. Appreciate fucking everything you guys are doing. So keep it up. I'll keep it up. But I feel like we're on a bit of a winner here with this new format. I feel good. Hopefully you guys feel good about it. We've spruced up the thumbnails, all that sort of shit. So everything that I'm reading on Dr. Google about increasing your podcast reach and shit like that, I'm doing. So let's see how we go. Let's see what happens. But yeah, we kicked off the week. I touched on it a little bit last week, but week just gone, we had Westy's birthday. So big 7-year-old now, which is fucking nuts that it's been 7 years since he was born. But as they all tell you, time just goes so quickly. So cherish those moments. So yeah, he had a bit of a birthday party last week, and it's probably his biggest birthday party we've had in a long time, like since he was like 1 or 2 sort of thing, where we actually invited some of his school friends, family friends. Ash and Adrian came along with their kids and stuff, so it was good to see them. And yeah, obviously it was the chaos you would expect from a kid's birthday party. We went to this place called Inflatable World, which it's in the name. It's just a big industrial shed full of inflatable jumping castles and slides and all that sort of shit. But yeah, he had a blast, loved all his little friends, came home hot and sweaty. But the dampener on the whole thing was our youngest son, Parker, got super sick. Like I said, he was in hospital for the last episode that I did, but he's out now. He's doing way better. He's got some sort of respiratory thing. He's on all these sorts of puffers and shit like that. Some sort of steroid puffer. I've been sucking it after he's gone to bed, trying to get even more jacked, but doesn't seem to be working. I've heard that it can actually give you thrush in the mouth. So yeah, I have not actually been taking the steroid puffer because I feel like some of you might take that literally and go, hey, James, here's some facts I found on steroid puffers. But yeah, he's out now. But it was a little bit of a black cloud, I guess, on Westy's birthday. But I think the little dude got spoiled as fuck, so he didn't really care. He got a copious amount of presents last week. And a lot of them, he's obviously getting older, so a lot of the presents he got somewhat brought back like a nostalgic theme for me sort of thing. Because he got, do you remember those like Huffy green machines? He got one of them and he was just out the front ripping skids on it. And it took him a while to get the balls to really twist the handles. But once he got it, he was like, fuck, I want to start doing like, shut up, Siri. Sorry, my Apple Watch just went off because Siri thought I was talking to her. But this episode will now have to be called featuring Siri. But yeah, he got a green machine. What else did he get? He got, and that's the other thing as well. Like people are like, oh, what's Westy want? And then I get in this little research rabbit hole, which it ramps up my ADHD. Obviously, we've spoken about it before, but when I get like a little bit of obsession with something, I'll just go all in. I'll try and buy all the equipment for it. Like we'll get on it later, but we cleaned out the shed over the weekend and I was just finding all these old little things that I half got into, like golf clubs, camping gear, fucking DJ equipment. And it was just like, oh, this is like so much money just sitting here because James had a little thought. And like, to be honest, this was one of those little thoughts, and I'm glad it's sort of somewhat stuck, this one. So, but yeah, he got, we bought him his first little drill as well, which is cool. Just got him a little Azedo. He's not quite up to the Makitas like me, but he's fucking thrashing that thing. He actually looks after his tools better than me. So if anyone's seen my toolboxes, they're just rusty as fuck, full of old, dirty tools. And I accidentally left his drill outside after I used it to pull down the shed because I was too lazy to go get my drills. And he came out just fucking firing off at me. He's like, don't leave my drills outside. They'll get wrecked, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, that's a good little thing to have in the back of your head already as a 7-year-old. Look after your tools. So, but yeah, the big present that Nikita and I sort of got him, and he's been harping on it for legit probably a year and a half now, I reckon. He's wanted a new bike. We've always just bought him like the cheap Kmart bikes that you do with kids because they outgrow them. But he's at that age now where the next size bike, and I'm just going off what the guy at the shop told me. Apparently the next size bike lasts them sort of from 6 till sort of 12 or something. So he's been obsessed with bikes, scooters, motorbikes, fucking skateboards, all that sort of shit, like X Games shit, for as long as we can remember. So Nikita and I were like, let's buy him a decent bike. He'll fucking love it. So of course it was old daddy's job here to go and start looking at bikes. And I had him looking on my phone at the type of bikes that he likes, sort of thing. Anyways, he ended up just deciding, he goes, I don't care what bike it is. I just want it to be a bright color. And I want it to have like free spin, like the pedals can spin back, like there's no brake. And I'm like, okay, that most BMX bikes around that style are like that. So let's go to the shops and have a look. So I walk into the bike shop. I just went to a local bike shop, try and support some local businesses. And I'm looking at the bikes, and this shop had three sort of children spec bikes, I guess, before you get to like the adult ones that are the same size, but they're fucking kitted out in thousands of dollars. So he's showing me these 3 bikes. There's 3 different tiers, obviously entry level. And what he was saying to me was like, oh, it's similar to a Kmart one. And I'm like, okay, we don't want that. Middle of the range, I'm like, this is probably the one we're going to get. So I'm leaning towards that. And I stupidly, don't know why the fuck I did this. I go, well, what's the top of the range one? And he showed me this bike. And I bought this bike for me. This thing was fucking... And I'm not even into BMXs or anything, but I'm like, that's a beautiful bike. And I'm like touching it, and I'm like moving it forward and back, like with my hands. Like I'm not sitting on it or anything, but just feeling the bike. And this thing is fucking sick. I love it. I don't even know. I think the brand is Colony or something, which I don't know. Apparently it's a good bike brand. So yeah, we bought him this bright purple BMX bike that he's fucking obsessed with. We almost had a bit of a blooper with it though, because I went and bought this bike. $650 fucking dollars this bike was, which is nuts. He sucked me in just like I got sucked in at the scooter shop. That's a story from an earlier episode. If you haven't heard that one, go back and listen to how I almost got into adult scootering. But yeah, he sucked me in. $650 for this stupid bike. It's not stupid, it's beautiful. I love it. And yeah, it's stunning. But the day after I went and spent that money on it, I was sort of... Westy probably knew he was getting a bike for his birthday by the amount of times I dropped the hint. But the day after I bought it, I go, oh, how do you feel about a purple bike? Because I said this to Nikita. I'm like, a purple bike for a little boy is a bit... He's either going to love it or he's going to be like, that's a fucking girl's bike. I'm not going anywhere near it. And I was like, should we ask him if he wants a purple bike? And she's like, no, he'll love it. He wanted a bright color. And I'm like, ugh. So we get home and I'm like, showed him a purple bike on the internet. And he's like, nah, I really don't want a purple bike. And I'm like, and I just looked at Nikita and we both freaked the fuck out that we just dropped $650 on a bike that he's not even going to like. But luckily we somewhat brainwashed him into thinking purple bikes are the fucking bomb. So yeah, he's going to be cruising around Beanley Skate Park this weekend on a bright purple bike. Probably shouldn't say that in case there's like child abductors listening to this or something. But my son will not be at Beanley Skate Park on a purple bike this week. I will be on a purple bike, more than likely, when he gets over it. And I'm like, this can't go to waste. I'm going to the highest half pipe and dropping in. So expect to see me in a cast for next week's episode. But yeah, we were talking about gifts, and obviously Valentine's Day was this week as well. And this, I don't know, everyone else I've told about this hasn't found it as weird or funny as I found it. And again, I don't know if it's just my fucked up brain overanalyzing everything and trying to turn it into a joke. But yeah, Valentine's Day was this week. And obviously Nikita and I bought each other little fucking... I bought her flowers and a card or some shit. And yeah, Westy goes to school. He comes home from school and he's like, oh, my teacher was a little upset with me today. And I'm like, why's that? And he's like, I was the only boy in the class that didn't buy her a Valentine's Day present. And I was like, that's so fucking weird to be buying your teacher Valentine's Day presents in grade 2, and also that's pretty fucking weird that this chick wants gifts off 7-year-old boys. I found that a little odd. I don't know if you guys find that odd. I know it's not as creepy as I'm making it sound, but again, it's just my head trying to find the fucked up situation and everything. But I thought it was weird. And then for her, I don't know, Westy probably read into it too much like I do, but I don't think she would have actively been angry at him for not buying her a gift. But yeah, I thought it was a little bit odd. So let me know if you guys think that's odd. Let me know what you guys did for Valentine's Day. I don't fucking know. But my darling wife, Nikita, also taught me something this week that I did not know. And the reason she bought it on Valentine's Day for herself, and I thought it was like, I cracked up because I didn't know it was a real thing anymore. So we're sitting in the lounge room and she goes, "Can you call my phone?" She's like, "I've lost my phone. Can you call it?" Little did I know she hadn't actually lost her phone. Nikita educated me that it is possible to still buy ringtones these days, which I thought died out in like the late 2000s. Because I remember with my Nokia 3315, you'd go to like the back of Mum's Take 5 magazine and there'd be like, text in code blah, blah, blah and pay $2.50 for a ringtone. And I thought that died when we got iPhones because you could just pick whatever song you wanted to be your ringtone. And then we went through the phase where it was like not cool to have a popular song as a ringtone. Like I remember Nikita had a ringtone for so many years. It just did not suit her. She had Young, Wild and Free by Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa as her ringtone. And it's crazy because this chick is like not into like drugs or alcohol or anything like that. And this whole song is about being young, wild and free, like smoking weed, not caring what anyone thinks about you, blah, blah, blah. And I thought it was nuts that every time we're in a public place, this song would just start cranking out of her pocket. But anyway, that's her thing. So we're sitting on the couch, I call her phone, and I hear the fucking Frozen theme song playing from her phone in her hand. And I look at her and she's just got the biggest smile on her face as if to say, is this not the coolest thing you've seen in 20 years? So that's super annoying every time her phone rings now. And I plan on changing it. To be honest, I don't even know what my ringtone is. I feel like I've been brainwashed that the Apple ringtone is just, yeah, fuck. Now that I think about it, that's trippy as. I know it when it rings, but then, Anyway, sorry, that's just me. I'm just losing my mind on this solo podcast. This is why I needed Adrian and stuff to bring me back from these crazy little rants. So just taking a little sip. 1 second, guys. Oh, yeah, that's good water. I have been on a little bit of a... I haven't actively been trying to do it, but I've been on a little sober stint. I think I went like... the last episode Adrian was on. That was the last time I drank. So that would have been like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I guess. And I wasn't actively doing it, but at the same time I was like, oh, this is probably good for my body. And then, yeah, I had my first beer last night, which we'll get to. I had to calm some nerves and I had to resort to alcohol, which is probably not the healthiest or best thing to be doing. But anyway, I did it. And I did mention, I put up an Instagram story yesterday of, I had a show last night and on the way home I was looking forward to pulling into McDonald's and getting Nikita and I something special. And I don't know if you guys have seen this out there, but McDonald's has finally gone and done it and they've released an adult Happy Meal, which is, I don't know why they didn't do this sooner. Apparently it's been a big thing in the States for quite a while. But I honestly thought it was a joke when I first saw the picture come up on my Instagram promoting it. I thought it was some sort of viral meme going around because if you haven't seen it, it's not called an adult Happy Meal. It's called a Kerwin Frost box, which is, I thought was weird. And I feel funny saying, can I please have a large Kerwin Frost box? Like that, I'd much rather just say, can I have an adult Happy Meal, please? But apparently I did a bit of research because the picture that got released is I'll put it on the video right here. That's it there. So it's a urban gentleman in a bright purple jacket. He almost looks like Grimace, I guess. He's got oversized hands, an oversized hat, and he's got all these little McDonald's figurines and shit all over his jacket. And I was like, and he's got face tattoos as well. I'm like, that's a weird, I don't understand what this meme is, but I'll just keep scrolling. And then it just kept popping up. And then I went to Macca's the other day to get the kids like Happy Meals, and I saw it on their menu. I'm like, holy fuck, this is actually real. So yeah, apparently you can get a Kerwin Frost box meal with it's basically a large Big Mac meal or a large nugget meal with a toy. And the toys are actually admittedly pretty fucking sick. They're like legit 90s Macca's toys. They're like little nuggets. And this Kerwin Frost guy, turns out he's some sort of street artist in America. And he's like, I've never heard of him, but Macca's has sort of collaborated with him to do this box, and he's designed these little toys and shit like that. So it's actually pretty cool now that I'm on board with it. I'm yet to have one yet, but I mean, it's not going to break the internet. It's just a Big Mac meal or a nugget meal. So I kind of want a toy. It'll look pretty good right here, I reckon. I might get all of them. I might try and collect them all. I'm going to go on a Macca's binge this week and just fucking blast them all. But yeah, talking about the urban culture, I guess. The drop that I've definitely been waiting for, and I know a lot of people have been waiting for, happened this week. Kanye finally came out and dropped his new album, Vultures Part 1. Or I think it's just called Vultures 1. And I don't know how many parts there's going to be, but again, like every fucking Kanye album, mixed reactions. And I feel like Kanye could release an album of him just like farting into a microphone and I'd be like, oh my God, has everyone heard this? Kanye is a lyrical genius. But I actually like the album. I thought it was sick. It hasn't done the same thing to me that like Donda did. Donda is still like, I don't know how he could ever possibly beat that album. Like every song on that album and every beat and stuff just literally got inside my soul. And I was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. So obviously I was not expecting this album to do the same thing, but there's a heap of sick songs on there. And I know when the album first started getting teased, I was on here talking to Adrian and I'm like, I think because some of the lyrics were getting leaked and I'm like, I think Kanye might be coming out and just trolling us and just releasing like a shit album on purpose sort of thing. But when you listen to all the songs in order, yeah, they're stupid lyrics, but they're like fun parts of the song. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna repeat any, but yeah, go listen to the Vultures album. I was going to say something else on the Kanye. Oh, that's right. So yeah, it's part 1 of the album, and I was like, that's fucking weird. Like, and then I was like, well, he has been pushing the release back for so long now. Literally, like I think he was meant to release it in November or something. So 4 months he's been pushing this thing back, and then he released part 1. And part of me felt like it was like when an assignment's due, and you just like trickle feed some of the assignment to keep your teacher happy until you like finish the rest of the assignment. So I'm not sure when part 2 or anything is going to come out, but there was one, that Everybody fucking song by the Backstreet Boys that he sampled. That wasn't on part 1. So, and that's the big one that everyone's waiting for. So that's either going to be the one good song on part 2 or part 2 is going to be like the Donda effect on me where I'm just like, this is music. But music is it's taking over Australia at the moment. I don't remember a time when there's been this many big acts in the country at the same time, and just like I don't know how all these people have the money to go and see all these artists. Like, for example, at the moment we've got the big one. We've got Taylor Swift in the country, and I'll dig into her a little bit more after this because she's fucking next level. She's the GOAT. We've got Taylor Swift. We've got Blink-182, who, again, as I was growing up, still, like to this day, one of the biggest bands to ever make music. And I like them to the point where there was an album they released. I forget what it was called, but everyone hated it. Like all the normal Blink fans hated it. But I was like, it's cool. And I think it was like when they were going through their little breakup and hiatus and shit like that. But yeah, then who else we got? We got Pink. Pink's in town, and I don't know how. I didn't even know Pink still made music. I don't listen to like commercial radio or anything like that anymore. So, but yeah, to me it was like I thought Pink died out with like Charlie's Angels 2 when she did the song on that. But anyway, Pink's in town selling out Suncorp Stadium again somehow. Not music related, but another huge fucking person in town, John Jones, the UFC heavyweight champion. He's doing like training seminars. He was literally 10 minutes from my house. He was doing a seminar with where Diego Pereira trains, who was on the podcast. And that was nuts. I so badly wanted to go down there, but I just would have been that awkward fat guy in the gym being like, oh, hey, John, I tried MMA once. And then he'll be like, oh, cool, man. And then hit me with his car or something, drink driving. But I hope John Jones doesn't hear that and come and murder me. But the biggest act, and I don't know why everyone isn't talking about this, but also touring Australia at the moment, and everything I see on my social media that pops up, they're fucking crushing it. But Matchbox 20 is in Australia at the moment as well. And I feel like they're being overshadowed by everyone else I just listed. But I thought they would have blown up, especially after the push from the Barbie movie. So, yeah, they had, Push from the Barbie movie. Push is the song that was in the Barbie movie. Look at me. But yeah, I thought everyone would be rushing out and seeing them, but I think it was just poor timing on their part to come here the same time as all those other people. But there seems to be people at their concerts. I'm sure they're stoked with how they're going, considering their big blow up was like, late 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, I guess. But yeah, obviously, talk of the country. The Queen is in town, or in the country. She didn't come to Brisbane, so a little bit salty because of that. But yeah, Taylor Swift is literally taking over the country right now. And I will go out on record and say this is easily my biggest regret of 2024 so far is I did not get tickets to go and see Taylor Swift while she was in Australia. So she's on her Eras tour, which is she's destroyed America with it already. She's been to Japan. She's been all over the country with it. Now it's Australia's turn. She's only doing Sydney and Melbourne, but she's sold out both those cities so many times she doesn't need to go anywhere else. And all the footage I'm seeing on TikTok and shit is unreal. Like the production value, the show, everything like that she's put into this. And it's like she's called it her Eras tour because she's pretty much playing back to back to back every one of her albums. And if you're a Swiftie like I am from fucking way back, you'll know that she started as like an innocent little guitar playing country girl. And that's when I first got into her. And then she like went through all these phases of like breaking up with guys, going through a rebellious phase of like, I'm not this cutie little girl anymore, to like some sort of rebel. And then, yeah, and then she went into like folk music. And yeah, it'd be nuts to see the concert. It goes for like 3.5 hours or some shit, which is, again, insane in itself, just to be a solo artist to hold a crowd for 3.5 hours. Like, it's insane. And she had a bit of a moment the first night. I forget if she did Sydney or Melbourne first. I think it was Melbourne. But she had a bit of a moment at the start of the show where she came out and she's like, I'm sorry if I get a bit emotional during this show, but just letting you guys know that this is the biggest show we've done on this tour. And then she goes, actually, it's the biggest show that like I've ever done. So there were 96,000 people in the one stadium just to watch this chick sing, which is fucking insane to almost have 100,000 people crammed into a stadium to watch Taylor Swift. And then the other part of my like fucked up brain was like, holy shit, like Nikita and I only looked at tickets for a little bit, and that was the main thing. Like, we would have had to have flown to Sydney or Melbourne, paid for accommodation, paid for the ticket. Like, tickets were like, I don't know, the ones we were looking at were about $300 each. So 100,000 by $300. She's fucking cleaned up in Australia. She sold out Melbourne 3 times, Sydney 3 times or something. Like, she could tour Australia and retire if she had a standard cabinet making wage like me. Not that I will ever make whatever I just listed, $3 million or whatever the fuck that pans out to be. I I need like a little cue when I have a drink break that will keep you guys entertained for that short little moment. But yeah, branching off from Swifty, the other big thing this week, and the only real reason I watched it was because of Taylor Swift, which is somewhat embarrassing to say, but the Super Bowl was on this past week, and it's the first full Super Bowl I've ever watched. Could never really get into the NFL. It's just such a slow game for me. Like 5 minutes can take 2 hours somehow with just all the timeouts and all that sort of shit. But I was like, I'm going to watch this one. I've been caught up in the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce fucking love thing all year. And I was just hearing all these other podcasts I talk about Kansas City Chiefs being like the greatest team in history sort of thing. So I've jumped on the bandwagon. They're versing the San Francisco 49ers. The only reason I know them is because that's the team that Jared Hayne went and played like 3 games for back in the day before he went to jail. So, yeah, I obviously wanted the Kansas City Chiefs to win. So I put a bit of money on them just because to me it was already written. Like they had to win. Like Taylor Swift was in the box. She flew straight from Japan to the Super Bowl to watch her boyfriend play. And I said to Nikita before the game started, I'm like, this is literally real life High School Musical right now. Like, and I said, I'm like, if Kansas City's losing at halftime, then Taylor Swift will just hang out of the corporate box and start singing to Travis Kelce, and then he'll score a winning touchdown. And the way the game panned out, for those that didn't watch it, Kansas City was losing up until the last, literally the last seconds. And Patrick Mahomes, which I'm not going to get into it. I've never watched, like I said, I don't watch the NFL, but from what I saw from that game, this dude is like next level, like IQ with football. And it all came down to him in the last play, throws the winning touchdown in the final seconds and wins the game. Obviously, the perfect love story for Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift. Patrick Mahomes is now like considered the GOAT over Tom Brady. And then it just ties in the perfect year for the NFL to have this little, love story with Taylor Swift. So worked out well for everyone, I think, in the long run. But the big sport that happened this week, I'll try not to cry when we get to the end of it. But UFC 298 was yesterday on Sunday, so I'll do a bit of a recap on it just because I gave some tips for it. But I just want to say the big loser for the day was KO Sports. I'm not a KO subscriber. UFC recently changed their pay-per-view rights that because I'd always watch UFC on UFC Fight Pass. It was a quick, easy process. I would just click buy the fight, easy, there we go. And I had to sign up for KO Sports to now watch the UFC in Australia. And I was like, they're going to have some teething issues. This is not going to be enjoyable. Sure enough, I watched the prelims on KO. No issues. It was great. The main event starts and KO, I go to switch over to the main event and KO gives me a little error message and I missed the first 2 fights of the main event, or the main card, sorry, which fucking pissed me off. I was walking around here throwing the biggest tantrum. Nikita's like, you're being the biggest sook. I'm like, you don't fucking get it, babe. Like, Volkanovski's the GOAT. I'm going to miss it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, then I get a little email from KO and it's like, your purchase has been successful. Click it over. Finally working. So, yeah, like I said, I watched the prelims, most of the prelims. But, yeah, the big one that I was excited to see was Justin Tafa that I spoke about, one of Logan's own, got an injury an hour before the weigh-ins, right? Or he would have had it the day before, but he didn't tell the UFC until an hour before. So UFC goes into panic mode. Who are we going to get to replace him? Justin Tafa's little brother that's just broken into the UFC in the last year or so, Junior Tafa, goes, well, fuck it, I'll step up and fight this guy. So UFC's like, well, that's easy work for us. Go nuts. Junior Tafa stepped up, made the weight, and unfortunately suffered from some pretty brutal leg kicks. Like this dude's leg was fucked. And he held in there till like the second round and then just got one in the shin and just like his leg buckled from underneath him. And yeah, lost by a TKO, which sucks for him. Hopefully it doesn't sort of tarnish his his reputation or anything like that in the UFC gets him back in there. But that sucked. The other one on the prelims was the one that finished the prelims, which I was not looking forward to this fight, really. I knew both fighters, but Mackenzie Dern showed she was an absolute fucking beast. She lost the fight, but again, her leg got fucked up, her face got fucked up, and like there's just something about watching chicks fight when their face is sliced and like one of her eyes was just so bruised and swollen. I'm like, this is fucking insane. And I think that actually ended up getting fight of the night from what I saw. But that was a good one. Then over to the main card, I caught the last round of Merab versus Cejudo. So Merab won that just like I was somewhat hoping he would. He's a fucking, I don't know how that dude's body looks like that without taking steroids, but he got the win over Cejudo. Apparently Cejudo's retired now, so we'll see if he actually stays in retirement this time. He's retired before and he's come back, so we'll see. Everyone comes back for money, but hang on, drink break. Yeah, then we went into Ian Gary, which this dude, he's gone through so much drama. He wanted to be the next Conor McGregor, and he came out just trying way too hard, and I think that gave people a bad taste in their mouth. And even at the start, I was full on board with him. I'm like, I was saying to Nikita, I'm like, this guy's going to be the next Conor McGregor, blah, blah, blah. And he was not his own person for so long, and I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, including myself. And then it came out that his wife had written a story about like, everyone was calling him a cuckold because they live with her ex-husband and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you're a little bitch. And this was the first fight and press conference that I felt bad for him. Like everybody was just fucking piling on him. They were booing at him at the press conference, and you could hear in this dude's voice, like, I don't know if you guys can notice, but when a guy is like holding back tears, he gets this little like tremor in his voice, and he's trying to fight back to these people booing him, and you could just hear how much it was hurting this dude to pour his life into this sport and just have all these people like turn against him. So part of me somewhat wanted him to go out and just knock out Jeff Neal, but unfortunately it went to a split decision, which again did not play in his favor. Obviously, everyone was sort of like, oh, Jeff Neal should have won, blah, blah, blah. It was not an exciting enough a fight for me to have an opinion on it. I don't care who won really, because it was pretty boring, to be honest. I think I even went and emptied the dishwasher during round 3, but then we go into the two big ones. So Robert Whittaker, fucking beast. I don't know how that dude, if you watch the fight, he gets hit with a leg kick in the head at the end of round 1. He was knocked the fuck out. He was like Bambi on ice, like trying to stay on his feet. Luckily, the horn goes and saves him. So he got to recover during the break. But yeah, other than that one kick, Paulo Costa put up a better fight than I was expecting, to be honest. I thought he was just going to go in there and collapse under the pressure, but he actually put up a good fight. So it was a sick fight to watch. Whittaker got the win. He's coming back for that title. I can see it now. But he's also getting to the age where it's like he's got one last run, and he's either going to go for the run for the title or he's going to get one more knockout, and it's going to be like, please retire Bobby Knuckles. I cannot watch this again. Which takes us to the main event. The sadness all over social media. The featherweight GOAT, Alexander Volkanovski, suffered a pretty brutal knockout, which sucks. It sucked that he has been so unstoppable for so long. And I even said it in my little lead up to the fight, that this young gun that's undefeated, no one really knew what to expect when he was up against someone like Volkanovski. Like, he hadn't really fought anyone of that caliber before. And yeah, I guess he came in and showed us all that he's got what it takes to fucking be the champion. So he knocked out Volk. Depressing fucking scenes. And I don't know why he did this, but Topuria called out Conor McGregor in his post-fight speech, which I don't know. At this stage, I'm like, is Conor even going to come back? But apparently he is. We'll see. We'll see if he comes back. But the capping point was UFC 300 headliner finally got announced. And from all the little cock teasers that Dana White was giving us that it's going to blow our mind, shit like that. Part of me feels like he could not get any of these big deals of Connor and Chandler, Izzy and fucking Drickus. Like, he couldn't get any of those fights over the line. So we got just given this half shit fight that now nobody's looking forward to. So it's Jamal Hill versus Alex Pereira for the light heavyweight belt, which I don't know. At this point, I don't even know if I'm going to buy UFC 300. I will because I'm some sort of UFC deviant. But yeah, it does suck. I was hoping for a huge fight like UFC 300. Like UFC 200 was fucking stacked from start to finish. So I know there's a lot of people in the scene that are very disappointed with how that one's panned out, but it is what it is. We'll still watch it. We'll still fucking get into it. But I'll touch in my little week of comedy. So kicked off the week with that new gig down at Burleigh on Wednesday. So I got a little bit lost leading up to the gig. So I ended up at some sort of Woolworths and I was 20 minutes early. So I was just sitting in my car on my phone and I've gone to go upstairs. I'm like, where the fuck is this place? So I've messaged the dude and he's like, I don't know where the fuck you are. Like, this is where the thing is. So I don't know why my maps took me there. So I got there. I was first up. So I was like, oh shit, I'm running late. Got there right on time, luckily. Running late, new venue, don't know how fucking shit's working, blah, blah, blah. And I was first up. And luckily enough, it was a fucking sick gig. Like, the crowd was there for it. The venue, like, I was looking behind the bar staff was like laughing along with me and shit. And yeah, I think that has the potential to grow into a sick room. So yeah, congrats to Alex who's running that. That was the first time I've ever met him. He's just moved up here from Melbourne, I believe, from the brief chat that we had. So if you're around the Burleigh area and want to check out some comedy on a Thursday night, go check that one out. But the big one was last night. And I was planning on recording this after last night's show, which was either going to be super depressing or end on a high. So last night I had my Raw heat up at Sit Down Comedy and it was a fucking stacked lineup. Like, to be honest, I was nervous as shit, the amount of good comics that were on that lineup. And again, there was sprinkled in there. There was people, I think there was 3 or 4 that were ballsy enough. That was their first ever comedy gig. And yeah, they killed it for sure. Like, I don't know how people do Raw for their first comedy set, but those guys smashed it. And yeah, I found out I was last on the lineup, which can either go one of two ways. It can either go great because the crowd is having so much fun and they don't want it to end, and then the last act comes on and has a killer set, or the crowd can be that tired that they just want you to shut the fuck up so they can go home. Luckily enough for me, I think that they were keen to keep laughing, got up there, and as nervous as I was, I feel like I had a pretty decent set. So that was nice. The big stressor for me for the night was the strict 5-minute time frame. And every time I timed mine, I was sitting around like 4 minutes 40. And I was like, the worst thing you want to do is like stomp on laughs when you're getting them. But I'm like, to a point, I need to stomp on some of these laughs. And that sucked a little bit, but they were playing the music if you hit the 5. So I was like, I've got to do this. And yeah, made it through. I don't know if I mentioned that yet, but yeah, made it through to the semi-final. So I literally got the email just before I started recording. I'm in semi-final 1, which is on March the 3rd. So again, I'll plug it all the way up to that. If any of you want to come and watch me do comedy at any show, this is probably the one that would be sick for you guys to come to and laugh along, show the judges that, yeah, I should get through to the final, hopefully. But, yeah, super fun gig, super stoked that I got through. And to add on to that, I guess we should probably do my little segment that I teased last week about the premature premises. So this one is, I haven't really had time to get a proper one ready, right? But this week I got a little premise in my head and it is not my style at all. And I'm more of like the storytelling comedian, I guess, trying to tie bits from my life and just put a stupid spin on them to turn them into a joke, right? And this one was like the first. Every now and then I get somewhat of an intellectual premise pop in my head and I'm like, it's not my style. I'm always nervous that maybe somebody else has done that and I don't want to steal material or anything like that. So that's why I'm always like, if I just do shit from my own life, I'm safe. But I got this one in my head this week, and I ran it past Reed, who's been on the show before, and he's like, no, I don't think I've heard that anywhere before. So I'm going to try it on stage. It's going to be my first. I'm probably going to turn it into involving my life in some way, but I don't really have the bit ready, but it's just the premise at this stage. So it's basically, I'm not sure if I entirely believe in the whole concept of evolution, right? Because you hear about all these animals and things like that evolving over time to adapt to their environment better. And if I was to believe in evolution, I know that I've tried to suck my own dick so many times that evolutionary, my 2 sons should have 2 less ribs than what I had to make sucking their own dicks easier for them. I said it way better to read. That sucked. But I hope you guys understand the concept, and I feel like I'm going to be able to work that into a sick bit. But yeah, I guarantee the amount of dudes that have tried to suck their own dick, the evolution game should have gone, okay, let's start giving guys less dicks. But then also evolution's probably like, well, then we don't need chicks anymore. So it's probably trying to cover its own ass there. But yeah, hopefully that segment gets a little bit better over time. But yeah, like I said, I hadn't really had time to work on anything proper. But yeah, the comedy thing's going good. I needed last night for sure. I was getting in a bit of a funk again with it, like the whole podcast thing, and I was getting to the point where I was like, should I just end it all? But the old Joey Diaz fucking clip that I always reference, where if something happens every 90 days, you know you're on the right path. And I reckon I was about due for that 90 days thing again. But yeah, if I get through to the final, who knows? I might be going on my own Eras tour. Could be in the cards. Backing up Taylor Swift. I could open for Taylor Swift. That's a pretty good idea. But yeah, the motivational clip for this week, and again, I don't know if some of you guys fucking hate it, some of you guys might not, but the little movie that I put on in the background of me quoting this week was, again, I've seen it. I think this was like the 3rd time that I've seen it, but it's a fucking sick movie. And it's Hustle. So for those that don't know, it's basically a basketball movie that Adam Sandler did. And I'm loving this new, because back in the day, Adam Sandler just used to be the fuck around comedian in movies and shit like that. Like Happy Gilmore, Big Daddy, fucking, yeah, all that shit. Billy Madison. And now he's just really turned a corner to do like Uncut Gems, Hustle. He's got another one coming out. I forget the name of it, but he's like an astronaut sort of thing that gets lost in space. And I'm looking forward to that one. But this movie it's motivation from start to finish. So he's basically like a basketball scouter, travels the world. And because of that, he sort of somewhat neglects his own family in a way. Like he misses his daughter's birthdays and things like that, just to be out there trying to find the next basketball superstar. And yeah, finds this kid in Spain, I think it is, some Spanish kid. And yeah, the movie just from start to finish, it has you hooked. Obviously, there's a happy ending to the end, but motivational clip I thought was only fitting because I watched that movie this week that we played on the podcast. And again, this one pops up all the time for me. So here it is here.
I love this game. I live this game. There's 1,000 other guys waiting in the wings who are obsessed with this game. Obsession's going to be talent every time. You got all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed?
But yeah, I thought that was that's sick. I don't know, again, if that connects to any of you guys, but it's somewhat how I feel about the comedy and podcasting thing. Like I'm just that. Last night, prime example, the people that were getting up there for their first time were funny as fuck. And I was like, that is so good. And anybody that saw me in the first 6 months of comedy would have gone, why is this guy doing this to himself? Like, just fucking quit. Like, but I just like, I've always been so obsessed with comedy and making people laugh and shit like that. And I just knew if I stuck with it, then I'd be able to get something happening. And then I started to get little giggles and shit like that at jokes. And I was like, all right, I'm fucking hooked. And that's what that little clip sort of got through to me, that if you're obsessed with something and you just keep going day after day with it, surely eventually something's got to pay off. And same thing with this podcast. I'll just be in here every fucking Tuesday. If there's ever a Tuesday where this doesn't come out, then I would be extremely surprised, and I would probably be in hospital or some shit like that. But yeah, hopefully that little clip gets you guys through the week. I did watch another complete dog shit movie this week, and if you've got kids, don't go and see it. The Peppa Pig movie. They basically just crammed 3 or 4 episodes of Peppa Pig onto a big screen and like intertwined it with real life people. It was the worst shit I've ever seen in my life. The other thing I noticed, and I didn't notice this until I was watching the movie, again, fucked up brain just goes wherever it wants. The animators of Peppa Pig have to be fucking with us adults by making the pig's head and nose an identical silhouette to a cock and balls. Like, that's the only thing I could see the entire fucking movie was just a giant cock and balls laughing at me. But go and Google a picture of Peppa Pig if that's not ringing a bell to you guys. But any parents would know the resemblance. But yeah, I reckon we'll call the episode there. We're approaching that hour mark, I think. But just plug my shows for this week. So Wednesday the 21st, I'll be down at Nobby's Ark. So that's another new one just kicking off. So first night down there for that one. Looking forward to that one. I think they've done comedy there in the past, so it should be sweet. Come check me out there. Thursday the 22nd, I will be back at the Mix Bar with Chris Walters, who's been on the podcast before. So that's like a mini competition thing. You get a crown and shit if you win. So yeah, I'm coming for that crown. Back-to-back wins this week for the Raw and the Mix Bar, hopefully. And then Sunday the 25th, I'll be at a fun one at Big Fork Theatre up in the Valley. So that's always a sick, fun gig. Come check that one out. Come check any of them out if you want. But the other thing I had to plug this week was friends of the show, Paul Mamone and Scott Fowler. That I think they were on our last guest episode we did. They do the podcast Presenting Problems, which I think we told all you guys to go and check out. So Paul took the leap this week. He's following in my footsteps. I feel like a big brother right now, but he took the leap to try and do a bit of a solo podcast on his own this week. And yeah, decided to shot me a message and goes, "Oh, can I call you live on the pod?" So I don't know how much of it he kept and how much of it he edited, but I think we had like a fucking 20-minute chat or something like that on his podcast. So I'll be somewhat featured on it, I'd expect, or he cut the whole thing because it was dog shit. So go check out the Presenting Problems podcast this week. Hopefully yours truly will be on there. If you want to have something on the show, send me some sort of submission, whether you're loving it. If you've got a question that you want me to like dribble shit on the podcast, send it through via DM on Instagram or email at cantgetanyworsepod@gmail.com. And yeah, I'd be stoked to fucking start communicating with you guys for sure. And yeah, if you haven't shared, like we had a couple of shares on socials last week and it was amazing. Meant the world to me. And I don't know if that's because our thumbnails are more enticing and shit like that. So people are like, oh yeah, I'll put this on my own personal shit. But yeah, share it around. Even if you're at a barbecue on the weekend and just tell a family friend, fucking, that's one more listener that we can get and grow this shit. And I can get a fucking aircon in this stupid hot studio. But appreciate you listening again. And I shall see you next week.